Hey guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to use Snapseed. Snapseed is a Android application. It's also available for Apple iOS, and how you can use Snapseed to do nearly professional looking photo editing. In this video I'll show you how you can edit a photo like the one at the top left to what is shown at the bottom right. So as part of this editing I'll be using the tools like curves, saturation, selective, and vignette. And these are just specific to this specific edit, right? And there are a lot more tools available in Snapseed, and you may have to choose the right tools based on what your photo is, right? And uh, one other thing that I would also like to clarify is like there is no single way to edit a photo, even a single photo, because depending on what kind of mood you want to bring, what kind of tones, and what is your theme behind that photo, you can choose to edit the same photo in multiple different ways, and you just choose the right tools for that. In this case, the photo on the top left that I have is actually already shot with a good camera. That's shot with my Samsung Note 8 and also post-processed with my Samsung software, right? So the phone does already a great job of bringing out nice colors and stuff, but sometimes depending on your ambient light and etc., um, there's always opportunity to do better. So let's get started. So before starting, try to have a look at the picture and try and understand what you want to do. At least have a rough plan of what you want to do. And that's what at least I try and do. And you can continue to further enhance as your editing goes. So one of the things you should make sure is when you shoot the photo is make sure your frame is right, right? As when you shoot, because that can never be changed later. But other than that, the colors and stuff, we can always fix it later. So in this picture, I had shot this in the US some time back, and in this picture, as you can see, the sun is overhead, and that makes the rest of the picture a bit dark, right? Because the exposure is fairly low because of a very bright object overhead right in front of my camera. So overall, this picture looks a bit dark. Clearly, the colors are low, so there's opportunity for us there. And then let's see what else we can do as we go further. Even the sky is very bland. So there's quite some opportunity for us to make this picture better. So this is Snapseed, and I have opened this picture that we are trying to edit here. So right at the top, this menu is fairly useful. So you click on this, um, you have option to undo, redo, and you can revert and view edits. I think that's one of the very handy things where you can go and look at every edit that you've done and then also check how the picture looked at each level. That's very, very handy. So wherever you see that white circular dot, that is my touch on the phone. So these are the options. These are various tools in here. And let's first look at the curves. So in some cases, there are multiple ways to do the same thing. But curves is very powerful. I like to always start with the curves because that is a good start to instantly correct some of the exposure levels and right of various colors and overall the picture as a whole. And you may want to darken some of the darker areas and also expose brighter or your subject areas better. So you may have to play around with it based on your picture and probably find the right curve. Typically, an S-shaped curve is sort of recommended, but you can keep it closer to an S, but you may have to figure out that depends on completely on the photo and where part of your subjects are, right? So in this case, as you notice, it became a little bit darker, and I had to bring it a little back up so that it's decent. But sometimes it may fit your photo, so just play around with it. And as you can see, you can click on multiple points, and it creates a new point for curving that curve. So you can create as many points as you want and make it as granular as required. And this histogram would provide you guidance on which region in the color that you're actually curving. And this curve is for the overall picture, right? So this curve is for the complete picture in all channels. And if you really want to edit specific channels, then you can of course click on the bottom, the channel icon and then choose if you want to specifically play around with red or green or blue. Sometimes you may choose to. Red specifically gives some good, sort of a temperature kind of feeling to the photo. Um, so depending upon your photo, you can choose to play around with the color levels. In this case, I didn't change the individual channels. It is just the overall picture because I think that's good enough for now. So let's from here, of course. So the next thing that I notice is opportunity for us to change the saturation. For that, you go to tune image, and then the menu gives you the various different options to tune. So in Snapseed, if you move up and down, it gives you option to select the menu, and if you move your touch sideways, you can increase or decrease the values. So right now I'm choosing saturation, and I'm going to the right, so it's increasing the saturation. You can see the overall picture increases, and I'm testing if it makes a good difference. You can see the color changing evidently at the base of that bench. See that? And shadows. Shadows are the darker areas in the picture, and usually you can make it slightly even more darker. Like you can see the trees. Look at the trees and how they changed. Yeah, so that's very powerful too. So these are sort of subjective changes to your picture. Definitely, depending on the picture, you may have to change brightness, contrast, even highlights at times, and pretty much play around with it. Each of them give you different, you know, benefits based on your photo. I think right now it feels good. We can move on to other things. So one thing right now I want to still further do is probably increase colors of certain areas because so that they pop out even better. Uh, let's see how we can do that. Yeah, I'm going to use the selective tool. Selective tool is very handy when you want to apply certain image tuning to only specific regions. I'm actually more importantly to a specific color in the image and a given region. So in this case, I'm trying to enhance the saturation of only that sand or mud right below the bench. Mm. So increasing the saturation of that alone, right? So this is handy. So similar effect could be achieved by using masking, but saturation in the selective tool is very handy, much simpler to do, especially when with respect to dealing with specific colors. I'm also enhancing the color for grass, and I see on the right there is some brownish tint, which I want to enhance as well because I think that will add to the overall color combination in this whole picture. So let me increase that too. So you can copy and paste these selective um, buttons so that they carry the same attributes, same properties, and put it in there. So slightly the sky is also a little bit dull, so I want to make sure that we can do something better. But you have to keep in mind in certain cases you have to follow the rules of the signs, right? So if your sun is overhead, it'll be very bright right at that place anyway. So there's opportunity for us to increase your the saturation on the leftmost area so that the sky looks reasonably blue on that side, and then probably a little bit lighter on this side, which would make sense overall. See, there are things our brain will notice even without we realizing things. So we may have to stick to some of those things so your picture your picture will look even more aesthetic. So right now, yeah, you can see that the leftmost end of your image is the sky is fairly bluish and the center stays the same. But overall, you can see that it adds color to the picture. One last step that could be potentially done here is I see some opportunity here because there's like shade, which is very beautiful because there's always this brightness and shadows. They go very well together. So I'm trying to see if we can add some shadow in here on the left. So the effect of the tree shadow is even more enhanced. So I'm going to be using, again, there are multiple ways to do various things. So I'm going to be using this vignette tool, which overall adds, attention to the center or your subject. It creates a sort of a dark effect around your photo. So I'm moving the center so that the shadow comes to the left, as you can see. So the shadow on the left below the trees is more enhanced now you can see that there's like very sunny area on the left is like there's a lot of shadow, below the trees. So that adds a lot more, aesthetic sense to the photo. And that's pretty much, I think, at this point, it's a decent edit for this photo. And depending on the photo, you can always do more things. Even in this, there could be completely different photo that we can do. So if you long press on the photo, you can actually see how much your edit has changed the original photo, right? If you're inside a layer, you can see the difference only for that layer. But if you're outside here and you do a long press, you can see from the original version to how the photo has changed so far. So that is considerable change, and it's good. So now we can go ahead and save the photo, and you can view the photo just to see how it looks. Yeah, so that's our edited photo. If you like this edit, please subscribe so you can get notifications for my future posts on Snapseed. Thank you.